Morning. Oh, yeah. Ooh, without this stuff, I don't even know if I come to life. I finish off 3 of these, and the villagers are running around screaming, "It's alive!" You know, it's funny. That Otaki George I built just recently really went together easily. No arguments. And the 148 scale and the 172nd scale, Kate and little A5 that I'm working on have been nothing but argumentative. At the same time, the 172nd scale Novo swordfish really didn't give me any argument. And I was thinking, models without alignment pins they're just wrong. And of course, I could say it's an evolutionary thing. I mean, the George was a 1970s vintage kits, and these other early 1960s. There's a decade there, but I don't know that a later kit from these companies was any different. I had, and I'm hoping to record the Nito today, the company history, and I had read, because part of doing the research for these things is see if you can find builder reviews. I'd read that Nito and Nichimoku, especially Nito, that there were some builder complaints about them, the type of plastic they used, and I'll get into that in the video. But I'm in my own personal mind, as I build more and more of these things, I'm starting to get quite the opinion of a pecking order of these early Japanese kits. Now, of course, there's a pecking order anywhere you go. I think most model builders would put in the American kits, the big manufacturers would put monogram at the top with Revell right behind them. Some prefer Revell. And then, they go on down with their others that they like, with, wherever Aurora would fall in the line. And I know a lot of folks would put Lindbergh at the bottom. Some wouldn't, but it depends on what's important to you. Ease of fit, detail. Everybody's got a thing. But I don't know. But what's really irksome is these little 1/72nd scale kits. I mean, and I don't mean 1/72nd scale. I'm specifically talking about these little ones. It really can be any scale. One of the problems with these really small kits is you need plenty of X-ray vision to make sure everything's lined up properly. Clamping them's difficult. I think one reason so many people gravitate to 148 scale is small enough to fit on the shelf, but big enough to see what you're doing. Last 1/32nd scale kit I built, I felt like I was cheating, because everything, building the cars, I was like, oh wow, the parts are big enough, I can see what I'm doing. The Stagecoach kind of goes to the other side. It's 1/16 scale. It's easy to see what you're doing. Of course, as detailed as that kit is, it has to be on a large scale because it still has a lot of small parts. But they're big enough. You can see what you're doing. But it actually has metal chains you have to use also for the part of the harness system. And makes you appreciate just how complex the harness and the system for controlling the horses was. There's a lot of things going a lot of different directions. In the movies, riding on a stagecoach, riding shotgun or, whatever, it seems kind of glamorous for some reason. But if I've actually ridden any distance in one, it's anything but. Well, it's just like military aviation. And I've worked with a ton of military aviators. I was around military aviation a lot when I was in the Army. And there's a certain excitement to it. But as my younger brother, who was an Air Force navigator, said, people think military aviation is glamorous. You know what military aviation is? It's hot, smelly, sweaty, and dangerous. Well, that's the charm. I think the thing I liked most about the movie Fury was it showed how, a tank is basically a big piece of industrial machinery, and the guys are always, covered in grease or dirt or whatever. It just shows how, for lack of a better word, how grimy it is inside a tank. Not that tanks aren't wonderfully fun, but you are dealing with a big greasy piece of equipment. And I know, once again, that's half the fun. It's like if it's noisy, smelly, and powerful, that the more boys like it. Ooh, that just gave me a weird question. I'm sitting here looking at my models against the wall, and we were talking about the Godzilla stuff. I was working last night on the interview with Pete Vetri, trying to get an initial draft so Pete can look at it, and he showed me his personal Godzilla he made as a kid, the old Aurora kit from the 70s. I'm sitting here looking at my collection up on the top of the display there, and I was just talking about how, the more things are a little loud, noisy, and smelly, guys like them. Okay, so that prompted an absolutely absurd question, because most of my questions are absolutely absurd. What does Godzilla smell like? Man, my initial reaction would say the ocean, but that's a little bit of a cheat. Come on. And, well, I guess after he uses his radiation breath, he would smell like burnt stuff, but that wouldn't really be him, though. That would be all the stuff he torched. He himself, I wonder if he has a fishy smell, because that's how my mind works. One of the things I talked to, which you'll see in the video when I get it done with Pete, was about what it would cost if someone wanted to put a new kit into production. And I really should have said more like if they wanted to do it, but it's still, the price would be about the same. But ballparking about 50 grand for a basic 30-piece 148 scale single engine light aircraft kit. 30 to 50 grand to get the molds made, get it in production. Then you got to get on store shelves, because I've had this twisted little fantasy about Max's models making injection plastic models, which that's not going to happen. Okay, this is just, I also dream about being an astronaut and, walking on the moon. So maybe that's why I love model building so much. I can live my fantasies when I'm model building and create something at the same time. So anyway, I had thought, what would be cool is to make a line of 10 148 scale general aviation aircraft. And the one I wanted to, and two of them I wanted to do were the Aeronca Champion, lovingly known as the Aranca Champion. So I said Aeronca. I don't know why I say Aeronca. It's Aranca, but something I've done since I was a kid. And Aluscum, which is the airplane I learned to fly in. Now, most people have never heard of Aluscum, and a lot of people have never heard of Aeronca Champion. Everybody's heard of a Piper Cub. In fact, to them, every little small plane's a Cessna or a Piper Cub. But the thing I concern myself is that even if somehow I had the money to pull off a stunt like this, how many would I really sell? I mean, you probably got to sell a couple 100,000 units to make it worth cutting a mold. Although except for vacuform, there are no kits of the thing made, and it would be a something new, which would probably sell a few. But general aviation, I assume, is underrepresented for a reason. They just don't sell as well as military aircraft. Now, airliners do, because everybody can relate to them, and there's a huge love affair with airliners. myself included. Of course, they pretty much got a love affair with everything. Heck, I'd be happy making a Blumenvoss 141, which is the weird airplane with the fuselage on one side and the cockpit on the other and the prop over here, and that weird thing that looks like something Uncle Bester would come up with. But anyway, okay, don't even give me going on the rabbit hole on weird airplanes. We'll be here all day. But anyway, now there's your QOTD question of the day. What is the weirdest, and I'm not talking about the weirdos or comical, I'm talking about of real stuff that was, at least actually one was made and tested in the real world. What do you think's your weirdest airplane, ship, or vehicle, or let's just call it car, plane, or ship, or spacecraft? And yeah, I think I'm going to go with the BV-141, just because if I didn't know one existed and you showed me a Model 1, I thought you'd kit bashed it out of spare parts. Oh man, that's good. Well, today is model building day, so like every day when I'm on holiday. So I will see you guys later, and you have a wonderful day.